Hi guys. Welcome to my channel. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. In this video, we will talk about could Rory McIlroy jump ship to LIV Golf? LIV Golf, the upstart golf league backed by the Saudi government, is finally set to begin play next week with an event just outside of London. On Tuesday night, LIV Golf released the initial field of 42 players set to tee it up, with former world number 1 Dustin Johnson among the entrants. One player that will not be competing in any LIV Golf events anytime soon is Rory McIlroy, who gave his thoughts on the event ahead of this week's Memorial Tournament. "I certainly don't think the field is anything to jump up and down about," McIlroy said of the competitors set to ring in the LIV Golf era. McIlroy went on to compare the field to that of the PGA Tour's next two events, the Memorial this week, and the RBC Canadian Open next week. "Look at the field this week," McIlroy said. "Look at the field next week in Canada. They are proper golf tournaments. Indeed, the field for the first LIV Golf event is far from impressive. Aside from Johnson, just 3 players currently ranked in the top 40 in the world, Louis Oosthuizen, Kevin Na, and Taylor Gooch, will be among those competing. Comparatively, 7 of the top 10 players in the world will be at the Memorial this weekend. As things stand, it's unclear what will happen to those players who decided to step away from the PGA Tour in favor of playing LIV Golf events, and chasing the impressive sums of cash that come with a new competition. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan has held firm that players that play in the event, to which the Tour did not give players exemptions to participate, would be subject to discipline. That could include suspensions and even bans, though such drastic action would likely ultimately be decided in the courts. Still, some of the players that have jumped over to LIV Golf have already felt a bit of pain in the loss of sponsorships. On Wednesday, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, announced that it had ended its relationships with both Johnson and Graham McDowell for their involvement in the new league. In addition to possibly not wanting to be associated with an upstart league backed by Saudi money, chances are RBC was not at all happy that Johnson and McDowell decided to play in the league's inaugural event, which happens to fall on the same weekend of the RBC Canadian Open. If the players you sponsor aren't showing up to the event you sponsor, something has got to give. Additionally, UPS cut its ties to both Louis Oosthuizen and Lee Westwood ahead of their debut on the Breakaway Tour. Luckily for those players that lost out on sponsorship dollars, there should be plenty of opportunities to make up the difference through the LIV Golf season. The league has put up a total prize pool of $255 million over 8 events, and with no cuts, every player is guaranteed to go home with a paycheck. Additionally, the biggest names that made the jump from the PGA Tour to LIV Golf received undisclosed sums just for showing up, adding to their earnings before taking a single swing. For his part, McIlroy said that while he wouldn't be playing in LIV Golf events anytime soon, he understood the reasoning of some of his peers. "It's not something that I would do personally," McIlroy said. "But I certainly understand why some of the guys have, and it's something that we are all just going to keep an eye on and see what happens over these next few weeks." McIlroy went on to say that for players who were potentially on the edge of keeping their PGA Tour card, the appeal of LIV Golf was pretty clear. "You know, you have some guys in a position where they are literally not guaranteed a job next year. It's hard to stay in the top 125 on the PGA Tour, especially when you're a guy in your 40s and maybe you don't hit the ball as far as you've used to. As we've seen, it's a young man's game nowadays. So someone that isn't guaranteed their tour card next year, another entity comes along and says, 'We'll guarantee you this amount for 3 years, plus you're playing for a ton more prize money, and you're playing less events.' I mean, whenever you sit down and look at some of those things, you know, it's very appealing to some of those guys that are in that position." While McIlroy didn't single anyone out by name, going through the roster of LIV Golf competitors, there are a few that fit the bill. Players like Ian Poulter, number 89, and Charles Schwartzel, number 120, have likely already played their best golf, and probably wouldn't be competing for any big cash prizes on the PGA Tour anytime soon. If there's a good check to be had by playing a few sunset events in the new league, the draw is understandable. What's still unclear is just how far the deals that LIV Golf has in place with its more prominent players go. Are Johnson, Poulter, Schwartzel and the rest all just in for this first event or first season? Or are these deals that extend years? With the new league finally set to start putting on actual events, we should start to get a fuller picture of what LIV Golf will actually look like soon enough. Rory McIlroy stepped up to the podium ahead of this week's US Open with a lot to say. With the golf world on the verge of splitting in two in the wake of the emergence of the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Series, McIlroy has positioned himself as the greatest spokesman the PGA Tour has on its roster. McIlroy let his play speak for itself on Sunday, winning on the back of an absolutely astounding final round at the RBC Canadian Open, holding off a charge from Justin Thomas to retain his title at the event. But even though his play spoke the loudest on Sunday, McIlroy couldn't resist getting a shot in at LIV while he had the spotlight. "This is a day I'll remember for a long, long time," McIlroy said. 21st PGA Tour win, one more than someone else, that gave me a little extra incentive today and happy to get it done. Former PGA Tour pro turned LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman finished his playing career with 20 career wins. But on Tuesday at his press conference ahead of the US Open, McIlroy went further. After saying a few months ago that LIV was dead in the water in the wake of Phil Mickelson's controversial comments on the league, McIlroy was asked what he had gotten wrong in his assessment, given that LIV had now hosted its first event and appeared to be gaining some momentum by converting more PGA Tour players. "I guess I took a lot of players' statements at face value," McIlroy said. "I guess that's what I got wrong. You had people committed to the PGA Tour, and that's what the statements that were put out. People went back on that, so I guess I took them for face value. I took them at their word, and I was wrong." After Mickelson's comments went public in February, several players that have been closely linked to LIV Golf, most notably Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau, put out statements pledging their allegiance to the PGA Tour. Over the past several months, there has been a great deal of speculation about an alternative tour, much of which seems to have included me and my future in professional golf, Dustin Johnson wrote at the time. "I feel it is now time to put such speculation to rest. I am fully committed to the PGA Tour." What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.